This
Yeah,
conference
yeah,
will
yeah.
now be recorded.
Anita, can you confirm if you're able to see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Can you see the presentation?
Yes, yes, sir, we can see your screen.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining this session. Okay, I totally appreciate the time that you have taken to come for the session, and the focus is on the campus interview preparation. But as the words you can read in my screen, right? We cannot make it rain, but we can see to it the rain falls on prepared soil. So you guys who are attending are going to be the prepared soil. And all the seeds that you're seeing is going to be the various companies that have multiple openings with them where they want to pick you up, they want to sow in your soil and grow, right? So the meaning of this whole sentence, right, is we cannot make offers come to you, right? I mean, but we will help you ensure that you land in the right job, right? So, whom do you think the companies are willing to hire? I would recommend someone, speak. What do you understand from this picture? Kamlesh, Yamini, Praveen, anybody can go. What do you understand?
So there
See,
are many
companies
people who
don't
are
hire. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
no sir, sorry.
There are many people.
There are many people who are looking for a job or need job.
Hmm. That's right. So it is not because you need a job, but the companies, right? The top IT companies hire because they are, producing some products or giving services to their customers, right? They want to hire a member who can be motivated and achieve, you know, greater than themselves in that particular project, right? They don't hire because you want some help or you need a job or you close your face and just you be shy and you don't present yourself, right? They don't hire such a person. Someone who just dresses smart but doesn't communicate or do anything, people will not hire, right? So why companies hire? Can others go on mute, please? Anita, can you mute everyone? Yeah. So why companies hire? Companies want to hire team members who are motivated to achieve. And that is the attitude that you should carry whenever you're going to an interview, right? So it is not your degree, it is not your college, okay? It is not, your greatness in sports and all the other activities. But what are you going to do to that company is something, or what are you going to contribute to that company's growth is what is going to help you, help the company decide they'll hire you, right? So given that factor, okay, there is a lot of recruitment drives going on, and there are more than 10 lakh freshers vacancies across India that companies like TCS, Wipro, CTS, HCL, and other top companies in India are planning to hire and willing to give the campus offer letters. Okay, so this whole course is designed for BE, BTech, ME, MTech, MCA graduates of all the 3 years, 2020, 2021, and 2022, right? There is more both campus as well as off-campus recruitments that are happening. And what we are going to help you in this course is we are going to help you get hired. How? We are going to teach you how to communicate, how to present yourself, what questions you are going to get, right? And how do you answer those questions? Okay. Anita, Anita, do you mind muting everyone, please?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Uh, Please mute everyone. I'm, I'm getting some. Yeah, let's move on. Thanks. Okay. So when I told you there are 10 lakh plus jobs for freshers, right? The fresher, the jobs, right? As I told you, the companies hire on what you are going to contribute, right? And how we evaluate you is completely to understand which phases do you fit in. So companies either do consulting services or product development, right? Either we give service or we give products, right? What do IT companies do? They have, discovery, planning, analysis, design, development, unit testing, integration testing, deployment, and maintenance. These are the various phases in the development and deployment process for an IT company, right? So whenever we are hiring you, the designing or analysis, planning, discovery, this will go to very senior managers and senior people. Where freshers will typically get hired is for the development, right? For unit testing and integration testing and deployment. So these are the areas where companies usually look for smart people to get hired. Okay. So IT companies look for very smart people, and where you get placed in the IT organization is either in development. Development includes database, your programming, as well as designing skills, as well as in terms of unit testing. How do you write the test cases? How do you test for the development? How do you check for the fitness for the purpose? And all those aspects is what they are going to hire you for. Okay. When it comes to integration testing, it will be black box, white box, and stress and bug tracker management. So these are some of the roles which requires very good communication and presentation skills. Okay. And the other place where they will hire you is for the deployment activity. So whenever a code is compiled and ready for deployed, shipped to production environment, where you are going to do your user training, you are going to do the beta and go live plan, staging, deployment, and ensure that the system doesn't fail in production. Okay? So these are the various areas where the companies that IT companies are hiring you will fit you in. Okay. And for all this, every company will have a very good training program as you get hired and then deploy in every phase. Okay. But the key here is how do I get the job, right? The first phase in every campus interview is going to be the aptitude test, right? But after the aptitude test, okay, where they're going to go into is the interview process, right? So aptitude process is not going to be covered in this particular training because it is a very vast subject and it is the ability of every individual to perform in the aptitude test. But what we are going to prepare you is for the next phase. Okay. There is 15, 20 minutes given to every one of you to face the interview and you get a lot of questions, right? And that is the phase which decides where you want to get placed and for what salary, right? So given that, let me quickly run through my profile. I am Franklin. I have 16 plus years of experience in the IT in both product companies and IT services company, and I have more than 15 years on site. I have been to 7 countries in the world, and I have delivered services for leading companies, and 15 years of offshore experiences. Okay. In the last 10 plus years, I have hired more than 500 plus freshers in colleges across India, and I have been, recruiting and training students, which help them to get their offer letter. 95% of them, when they prepare the sessions that I have been handling, have always come back with the best results of getting the best offer available to them. Okay, so this is my profile. Let's get into how the companies evaluate you in the interview process. Okay. The first thing that they look at you is how good you are communicating. So what the communication doesn't mean only about how the way you speak, right? Because workplace communication requires very key things. First thing, you should be able to listen. Listening the question and asking clarification whenever you don't understand. Be clear, right? You should be able to ask questions if you're not clear with the questions that the interviewer is asking you. Okay. Next is speaking. How you speak, right? They don't expect you to speak very, stylish and the accent-oriented US or UK accent kind of English, right? They want you to speak very simple English, and what they are going to evaluate you is how good you are going to think for the answer, right? So you have to speak softly. You should be a good listener. You should be able to speak correctly, and they are going to evaluate your thinking process, okay, and your non-verbal communication. So are you really excited to answer that question? Because now most of the interviews are happening online as well, and there is a video recording of the session that happens, okay, where they look at your eyeball movements, they look at your body language, they look at their posture, right, and evaluate if you're confident with your answer. Okay, this is the biggest contributor to the marks that these scorers will do in an interview process, right? First thing is thinking, listening, speaking, and non-verbal. So these are all part of the communication skills that you will have to develop. Okay, so the biggest thing that you should take from a communication is it is three parts: the sender, the message, and the recipient. So whenever the communication is coming from the interviewer, he becomes the sender, the message is the question, and you are the recipient. So once the sender sends it, the recipient is going to encode the message and respond to that question, right? Your response should clearly say that you are listening and you're able to speak well and you're able to think for the answer, and your body languages are great for the communication that you're going to do, right? Next, we are going to evaluate, you are going to be evaluated on the way how you are going to present, right? Maximum interview time is just 15 minutes to 20 minutes. So where can you do the effective presentation is first thing, you should appear very well in the interview, right? And you should show a very good attitude. Okay. If it is an online, maintaining eye contact is quite difficult, but you can easily achieve by answering looking into the camera lens than looking elsewhere. Okay, and you should have a very interesting voice. You cannot have a dull voice, you cannot have a cranky voice, right? And they don't expect you to speak a very modern or a very linguistic English, but it is more a simple English where you are able to convey the answer, right? And what is your knowledge? When it comes to knowledge, it is the knowledge that you are going to possess in the programming languages and in the database, and advanced concepts like machine learning, Python, etc. Right? So, what is your knowledge? That is the skills that they are going to evaluate you for you to get fit into where you are going to work in the organization. But additionally, they also look out for, in case if you don't have the programming knowledge or database knowledge, they look out for if you are very good with your core subjects. Okay, and I'll tell you how to present your projects and how to win this. The tips for presentation that will help you. Take the questions to the area where you are more confident. Okay, and you should show a lot of enthusiasm, right? So you cannot be dull, you cannot be pacifying, saying that I have this reason, I have that reason, I was not able to study. So all those things are not required. Your enthusiasm to learn the subject and to contribute to the subject is something that matters. And always remember, you got only 15 to 20 minutes to impress the interviewer. Okay. So we are going to in the course see how you will have to present the for the questions that are being asked. Next, what is articulation? Okay, so first we saw communication, then we saw presentation, now articulation. So articulation is an act of putting into words an idea or feeling, right? So especially when it comes to your project, okay, that is where we see most of the students are getting rejected. Okay, so whenever the first question the interviewer will ask you is explain about yourself, right? Where you talk about what course you are doing, how long you are doing, your hobbies, and all this stuff. The next question they ask you is your project, right? What project have you done? Right, this is the biggest area where the first impression has to be created. Okay, if the project work is not articulated well, right, and if the interviewer is able to identify that you have not contributed much to that particular project, then the whole interview process will get into a negative zone. Okay, so in the articulation, when you're articulating a project, you should clearly tell what was the objective of the project, what was the outcome you achieved, right? What was your contribution? Most of the interviews are interested in what was your contribution. Okay. People beautifully explain their project, but when we ask what was your contribution, they will say, I was the team lead, I was leading the team, right? I was only doing, Arduino development. I was only doing, web design. For example, one case, they were doing some, he was actually, getting into hiring a requirement for a higher salary package, and we were very interested in this project. He explained that he was doing some uh, program which will detect liver diseases. Okay. Then the simple question we asked, how many type of liver diseases are there? There was no answer for it. Okay. And then he told that we will do some analysis using the scan report. When I went to for scanning, then there is a color scan and there is a Doppler scan and there is a 3D scan. What data does your program read? There was no answer, right? These are simple mistakes that people do, okay, in articulating their solution, and which will clearly put a bad impression to the interview. So in this course, what we are going to explain is how you have to present your project and what you have to highlight. Okay, the things that you highlight should be the questions that the interviewer should be asking you. If you don't do that, then you will not be able to articulate your project well, and you will get into the negative zone of the interviewer taking quicker decisions on you, though you would be capable of delivering the the other technical questions. Any questions so far? Am I audible? Anita? Yamini?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Let me then move next talk. Okay. The other thing that you should carry when you are going for a campus interview, off campus or on campus, is you should have the best attitude. Okay. So attitude determines your actions, and your actions determine your accomplishment. So attitude should be, towards, how satisfied are you in completing your project? What was your involvement in doing that project? Okay. And what was your organizational commitment? So did someone sponsor your project, or how did you, price your project? So these are some of the questions they ask for, for assessing your attitude towards the projects and your studies. So why should I understand your communication, presentation, orientation, attitude, and articulation? Plus technical, right? You should know all these things because is on the scorecard that the interviewer is going. Salary that is the scorecard to score your project. If you're technically good, but your average or fair with communication presentation, there is communication presentation, you will be pushed to try again phase. Okay, there is a try again phase. They will not give you the offer, but they'll ask you to try after 3 months or 6 months. Right? If your attitude is good and your technical skills are average and good, but your presentation and communication is excellent, you will get one of the best salaries in the industry. So you should try to fall into the zone of excellent and good for you to get the best salary, right? The freshest salary range from 2 lakhs, 2.5 lakhs to up to 10 lakhs, right? In a generic sense, right? There are other top companies which pay more than 1 crore for IIT grads and others. But for our colleges, generally for engineering hiring or the MCA hiring, the salary range falls between 2.5 lakhs to 10 lakhs. So if you want to fall between 7 lakhs to 10 lakhs bracket, you should have that very excellent technical communication, presentation, and attitude and articulation. Okay. When you talk about the industry orientation, it is how much you know the industry, right? People will just go for Infosys interview or TCS interview without knowing what they are doing in the IT company, right? So this whole course is designed for you to face campus interviews in IT companies. So when we say IT companies, these are the key things that they are operating on. They are doing discovery, planning, analysis, design, and development, including to get specialized in the development, testing, deployment, and maintenance projects. Any questions so far? I can take some questions if anyone has some questions. Any questions from anyone? Guys, any questions? Okay, if no questions, let me then move on. So if you're wondering, why to the campus interview? Why to the campus interview? Okay, so what questions will they ask me during the interview process? How will you prepare towards the last day or the last 6 hours before the interview, right? And how to explain my project in a very impressive way, and what is the interview looking for from my answers to the questions. Primarily, how should I articulate, how should I communicate, how should I present, right? And how IT companies give mark to technical questions, presentation, communication, attitude, and what should I revise just few hours before the interview. If you just complete this interview course and just have this recording just before the interview, if you're going to review those questions and answers that we are going to discuss, you will be able to clear the interview 90% of the time, because most of the questions that you are going to get is around these questions that I'm going to share in this entire sessions. Okay. And it is not only the basic questions I'm going to discuss, as well as the advanced questions that they are going to ask you and how you should articulate. Okay. If you're wondering, my English is not good at all. How will I get rejected? Okay. So English is a communication issue, but definitely, you will have to only take care of the sentences that you form and the present tense, right? And the way you answer. Okay. So when you listen to the way we are going to discuss those question answers, if you present it in the same way, if you start understanding that simple English that we are going to speak during this session, that itself will give you the confidence to go and meet the interview, right? You don't have to worry about English, right? And I'm not having programming skills. How will I clear the interview? Okay, once you clear your aptitude, once you come for the face-to-face interview, they are going to ask you question on your project, your contribution, and whether you know your programming skills. You can upfront tell how much you know about programming, and the questions will be typically coming from your strength. Okay. In an IT company, programming knowledge is very important for you to get selected. You cannot skip the programming part. But the questions that we are going to discuss in the sessions are going to be mostly when you're preparing this question answers, help you get technical question answers and the concepts. the right answers and help you clear the technical interview. Okay. So this course is completely for every student who wants to definitely know how to prepare for the last day. How do I prepare for the interview? What do I answer? What questions are going to come? Right. So, uh, and how do I speak and how do I present the answers for those questions that I'm thinking to present to the right. So things that we are going to help you in these particular sessions. So when I say what
Excuse
type
me,
of
sir.
questions we are going to give you, 90% going to be application based interview. For example, when you look at Python, right? What are keywords? Okay, what is the difference? Yes, yes, yes.
Sir, I am unable to hear you, sir.
Hello, can you hear me all right?
No, sir, I am unable to hear you, sir.
Hello, Yamini, you're able to hear me?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. So let me do one thing. Let us finish this because anyways the session is getting recorded. Isha will share with you all the recording of the session. Okay, you can go through and then you can ping me that WhatsApp group that has been created. I'm there in the WhatsApp. I will clear your doubts there. No worries. Okay.
Yeah, okay, sir.
So typically we are going to discuss on all the questions that you are going to be expected when you're taking the Python interviews, right? How is Python Python an international interpreted language? What are the features of Python, etc. Right? And we are going to speak very specific questions on machine learning, right? Like what is PCA? What when do you use it, right? And what is cross validation? What is bias in machine learning? So all these questions are going to be definitively asked when you are going to say that you're a Python expert or you've undergone training with Python and machine learning. See, Python and machine learning skills get you the best offers in the industry. Okay, and it is essential for you to prepare these questions before you get into the interview process, right? And this gives you the excellent scoring. Okay. Apart from this, okay, we are also going to explain you how you have to present your project. What is your idea? What is the logic, architecture and design and outcome, right? Because based on your project explanation is how you're going to be evaluated and you're going to get into the positive zone of the customer of the interview evaluation, right? What was your motivation to do the project? What was your role? What was your contribution? Explaining the benefits, long-term vision, etc., have to be part of your project explanation, right? So when we prepare you for the questions and prepare you how you are going to present your project, right? We are going to give you how to simply articulate it and use simple English words, right? So how do you have to articulate your weaknesses? Okay, I feel lack of English knowledge is my weakest trait. I know this is only a temporary issue. I definitely studying. I'm definitely studying hard to communicate more effectively. So this is how you should articulate your particular weakness into a positive zone and positive understanding. Right? What are your short-term goals? Right? What is your short-term goal? To be, find a suitable position and then build on your knowledge and strengths and work towards the growth and success of the company. Right? So this is how the typical questions you are going to get in an interview as a fresher, right? So how do you answer these questions is what we are going to again discuss in this particular session. It is not only the questions and the answers that you will have to give, but also what you should not say. I am highly motivated. You say highly motivated, but you don't see, what the interview is. You're just exaggerating yourself. My weakness, I'm perfectionist. So which means there's nothing you're doing perfectly, right? So these are some of the words that you will have to um, you know avoid in during your interview presentation. For example, my teacher, my professor was very terrible, right? Which means you are very unprofessional in the way you are responding in an interview session, right? So these are some of the things. So we are going to teach you how you need to respond in a simple, positive English, and what are the things that you should avoid for you to win the offer letter. So what's in this course for me, right? So primarily we are going to teach you questions from C, C++, DBMS, Java, Open OSA models, all right, and Python and machine learning, right? So these questions help you prepare for the demand, right? What the company is going to offer for you guys, and ensure that you get 4 to 9 lakhs of offer letter. What questions will be asked apart from programming? Keeping for the challenges will be one of the key things for the course, right? And understanding the methodology and performance expected in terms of communication, presentation, articulation, and the industry oriented. How to score the excellent and good marks, right? And we help you, given all the skills that you require to winning the maximum salary that every IT company that is able to offer this. So if you do all these things, right, this is where I told you in the beginning itself, we are preparing the soil for the seeds to be sown. So when I say I'm preparing the soil, I'm going to help you guys prepare for the interview questions, prepare for the technical questions, prepare for the communication, presentation, articulation, and ensure you do your best to win the maximum salary in the right. So topics would C, C++ programming, so C programming, Java, J2E, DNS, Python, include RDB, Python, and machine learning. And how do you the interview process, guidelines on various companies, and preparing for the interview, and how do you face that as a very key for winning your offer letter. Okay. So this is the course duration. It will be for 4 hours. Okay. And the initial 2 hours you will be doing the technical topics, and then the presentation skills, interview skills, and facing the interview questions. So this is how we have designed, and we will articulate it and we will redefine it based on the interest of the students who are participating for the questions. Okay. So join the course and let's start the work to make your name printed in the offer letter. So this we are telling it with confidence, with content that for you to win the offer letter. So I'm open now for questions. So any questions, please ask me. On any of these slides, please ask me. Guys, do you have any questions? Hello. Anita, you're able to hear me, Anita? Anita, you're talking on mute. I'm not able to hear you. Okay, if there are no questions, then I'll end the session.